indeed God has been good to us. He has used us in ways that we never thought we were worth to be used of. But, hey, I think it's a confirmation that he can use any of us. And I think if there's anyone unworthy to be used, it's me. So that if he has used me, he can use any of us. It's such a privilege to be here this morning and to speak about enterprise and entrepreneurship. Is this something that excites you? The way it excites me? I hope it does. All the prayers that we make on this altar are not in vain. That's what I can assure you. I have seen those prayers and the prophecies manifest in my life real time, in a way that also scares me. It just reminds me the level of responsibility that I hold, and I can't joke around about it. All right? And it's a model that my hope, is that many of us will also be impacted by the prophecies that have been said about your lives from this altar. Great. What do you think about entrepreneurship? What comes to your mind when you hear entrepreneurship? What comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? Who comes to your mind? Sorry? Who comes to your mind? All right, JD. Who else comes to your mind? Customer. All right, awesome. Who else comes to your mind? Any successful businessman that comes to your mind? Many. All right. Who for instance? Bill Gates. Who else? Chris Kirubi. Manu Chandaria. Who else? A student, growing, learning. I'm still in the process of becoming Christine. Yes, Christine. All right? Great. What do you know Bill Gates for? Microsoft. What do you know Manu Chandaria for? Other than philanthropy, we're talking about business. Sorry? Manufacturing. What specifically manufacturing? Tissue. Okay, thank you. Who else? Who else did you talk about? Steve Jobs, Chris Kirubi. Chris Kirubi, what do you know him for? Hardcore Industries, all right? So, of course, he has Centum, he has, Akira Power, he has Two Rivers, he has International Lifehouse, but we know him for, what do you think about he ran for governor, what's his name? Jim Nambaru. What comes to your mind when you think about Jim Nambaru? Nairobi Stock Exchange. That's what comes to your mind. All right, okay. So, but many times we know them for their success, isn't it? Hardly do we think about the process. Hardly do you think about the hard work, the persistence, the late nights, the rejections, the failures, the sacrifices, the self-doubt, the risks. Because that is never in the public. It's never in the glam. And many times the failures, the risks, the rejections are where most of the growing happens. I have been through my own fair share of failures, rejections, self-doubt, criticism. I've been through all that, and I'm still going through it. Conflict. I've been through all that, and I'm still going through it. So many times, we don't take into account what is underneath the iceberg. All right? It's a foundational stuff that is so important because building a foundation is messy, isn't it? Building a foundation is messy, it's never pretty. Nobody says, what a beautiful foundation. But people say, what a beautiful structure. Yet, if you want a magnificent, tall structure, most of the work must be underneath. All right? So the person that comes to my mind when I think about entrepreneurship is my late friend, Mwaura Wainaina, John. John Mwaura Wainaina is the one who sold to us the land in Thome. But he passed on about 3 months ago. He was a very close friend of mine. He started his business life selling mayai boilo. Down in Marikiti, down in, Mudhurwa, River Road, Kirinyaga Road. That's where he was operating from. So then he realized, he could actually hire boys to help him sell the mayai boilo. But then, and he was successful in that trade. But then after a while, he started having challenges with Kanjo guys. He started having challenges with cops. So he decided to, quit that business and went into a butchery. And after the butchery, he went into selling clothes, mtumba. And that's how he met his wife, because he was in the process of selling mtumba, and then he's selling to the shop where his wife was working, and that's how they became friends. Then after that, his father-in-law, they got married, and his father-in-law entrusted him with bread. So he started peddling bread. After a while, he realized that there's an opportunity in electronics, electricals, the wires, the cables, the bulbs. So he went into that, and he started small. He showed me where he actually started from, and he grew big. From there, everybody actually called him Sagil. That was his other name. Many people didn't actually know he's called John Mwaura Wainaina. His company for selling electricals was called Sagil. All right? Do you know some of those gentlemen and ladies? Some are called Wachuma, some are called what? Wamayai, Wamtumba, Wabuts. Yeah. But that was his journey. For me, the interpretation or the definition of entrepreneurship is the skill and ability to multiply. The skill and ability to multiply. And I think each of us is called to multiply. Not just those who are in business in the strict sense. All of us are commanded by the Bible to be multipliers. The skill and ability to multiply. The Bible says that if you're faithful with a little, He'll make you rule over much. All right? So, magic happens when an entrepreneur multiplies. Magic happens in this sense. Can I demonstrate briefly? So I come to JR. I ask JR. So hold that for a moment. What does all this? What is Agi selling at the moment? Rice, isn't it? So Agi's rice is 10K, isn't it? I want to buy Agi's rice so that I can sell to Cindy. But I don't have the money. So I go to JR. I ask JR for 10K. JR gives me 10K. I come to her. I buy her rice. She gives me her rice. I go to Cindy, and Cindy buys the rice from me, not at 10K, but at 25K. So I go back to her. I give her her 10K, her 10K, but she's a trader. She asks for interest, isn't it? So I give her not just 10, but 15. All right? And I have kept 10. So next time, I don't need her money, isn't it? I come to her and buy the rice, and then she buys it from me for 25. So now I have 15K of my own. All right? So actually, I have 25K of my own, isn't it? I have 25K of my own. So thank you very much. Don't keep my money. So entrepreneurship is like magic, yet it is not. It's actually a process, all right? Everybody has something to give. Everybody is trading. Everybody is trading something. Everybody is trading something. When I came to JR, what did I have? I had an idea. But I also had trade. I also had trust. However way, JR can't just give anybody in the streets 10K because she's not sure it's going to come back. So she gave me 10K because there is a basis of a relationship of trust. So I traded trust for the 10K, isn't it? So everybody has something. If you think about the person who is homeless, a lady who is homeless and he lives in a shelter, expecting to be provided for by the homeowners, isn't it? But one day you come and tell them that, look, today if you cook, I'll pay you 200 shillings. All right? And if every day you cook, I'll give you 200 shillings. So by the end of the week, you will have made 1,400 shillings, isn't it? So after she has cooked for those 7 days, she then she's entitled to demand for the 1,400 shillings, which means everybody has got something. Everybody has got something to offer. Yeah. People don't get paid what they desire. They get paid what they deserve. If I come to you, Anita, you are my employer. I come to you and I tell you, I want a pay rise. What goes through your mind is, what have you given me in exchange? Isn't it? So however much you desire for more pay, it doesn't matter how much all of us would want 2 million, 3 million bob salary. All of us. I could do with a 5 million bob salary. But then, what have I given to deserve that? All right? So for the young guys here, for all of us, when you're thinking about seeking promotion, the one thing you must ask yourself consistently and deeply is, do you deserve it? If you deserve it, remember the story of Jacob and Laban? If you deserve it, your employer is also in business. They will definitely give you what you deserve. And if they don't, the market is watching. Someone else will poach you and give you what you deserve. So the market is self-correcting. All right? The market is self-correcting. In my firm, we demand from the lawyers 5 times their salary. So, and everybody knows that their targets is 5 times their salary. You can do more, we welcome that, but your target is 5 times your salary. So if you come to me and you say, look, I need my promotion to 1 million shillings, you must have demonstrated to me that in the last 6 months, you've been constantly hitting 5 million. Isn't it? All right? If I go to the farm and ask the farm, I show up in the farm and I say, look, farm, I want a harvest. The farm will tell me, look at this clown who comes to ask for a harvest without giving a seed. Isn't it? The farm expects that if I want a return, I must give a seed. So we don't go to the market with a need. You go to the market with a seed. You go to the market with a seed. All right? So what we should do is spend time perfecting our seed. Spend time investing in our seed. Spend time multiplying our seed. Spend time multiplying our seed. In this era of technology, elementary labor is being replaced by technology. So if you want to excel and do well and be prosperous and multiply, then you must invest in yourself. There's a quote that Christine shared with us, and by the way, I've really been blessed by what I have gotten this year specifically around business from the beginning of the year to now. Especially when we're talking about JD and the truck. That was really powerful. That was really powerful. I remember Percy asking you whether you know what it will cost you. It's a big vision, but he was asking you whether you have counted the cost, the price that has to be paid for that big vision. All right? And so, for JD, if I was in her shoes, I should be trusting God to build my capacity, to truck size capacity. And God does not have to entrust you with one truck. He can entrust you with 10, 15, 20. But first, you must demonstrate your faithfulness with the one. All right? Otherwise, it will crush you. He'll not be a good father if he gives you a load that is beyond your capacity. All right? God set us up to trade with each other. God set us up to trade with each other. That's why, I'm not as good in the rice business like Agnes is. I'm not a greater worshiper as Lorraine is. I'm not a greater host as Mamio is. I'm terrible at her hosting. I'm not a great HR expert and people change expert like Christine is. I was reading the book of Genesis, and I realized that God gave the children of Adam different gifts. Even their grandchildren, he gave them different gifts. There are those who were in farming, there are those who were, into steel and smelting stuff. There are those who were into farming crops. So all of us have been given different gifts, different abilities. And the reason for that is to set us up, to realize that we need each other, and to realize that whoever wants to be the greatest must first be the servant. So greatness equals service. The higher the greatness, the higher the service, the higher the greatness. So instead of focusing on the greatness, focus on the service. And the greatness will take care of itself. All right? So if you forget everything I say this morning, please don't forget that. Greatness equals service. The higher the service, the higher the greatness. A famous preacher that I follow was talking about greatness. And he was saying that all of us have been called not to be famous, but to be great. All of us, each and every one of us, have been called not to be great, to be famous, but to be great. And you're saying there are very many famous people who are not great. And conversely, there are very many great people who are not famous. All right? Greatness in the kingdom is not just about finances. There is a lot more to greatness to greatness than just finances, especially in the kingdom. All right? When I go to see a doctor, a barter exchange happens. I exchange my legal skills for medical skills. If I go to see Dr. Flo, she's an expert in dentistry, isn't it? I exchange my legal skills with her dentistry skills. Only that the medium is money. Isn't it? The medium is money. But God has given her the gift of dentistry. He's given me. If you go to a restaurant, and you are an accountant, like Bernard. Bernard exchanges his accounting skills for hospitality skills. And the medium is money. All right? So all of us have something to give, and we all must multiply. Genesis 1:28. This is God telling Adam and Eve, isn't it? God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." So there was a command to be fruitful and to multiply. In Genesis 9:1, after God has hit the reset button, he has, the flood, the ark, and after that, the altar that the sacrifice that Noah gave. God again commands Noah and his children to be fruitful and multiply. Genesis 9:1. Then God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the earth." All right? Matthew 13:31-32 talks about the mustard seed. He told them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all the seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches." When Jesus was ascending to heaven, the Great Commission is about multiplication, isn't it? What does he say? "Go ye and make disciples in all nations." And he talks to the 12 disciples, by the way. He tells them to go into the world and multiply what he has entrusted them with. Okay? If you're not convinced that all of us are called to multiply, I hope these last two scriptures will hit home. Mark 11:12-14. The next day, as they were leaving Bethany, Jesus was hungry. Seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season for figs. Then he said to the tree, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And his disciples heard him say it. Skip to verse 20. In the morning, as they went along, they saw the fig tree withered from the roots. Peter remembered and said to Jesus, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree you cursed has withered." "Have faith in God," Jesus answered. "Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Go throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their hearts, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." So the Bible is filled with, are you convinced that we all must multiply? Are we all convinced? The Bible is filled with many stories of God's best friends multiplying. All right? If you think about Abraham, when he separated with Lot, Lot took the more productive side, and he took the less productive side of the field. But yet, after a while, he had multiplied it a lot more than Lot had done. If you think about Jacob, when he went to Laban's place, he came back a lot wealthier than he went in. Yet he had nothing when he was going. All right? If you think about Joseph, and I think for me Joseph is a great example of an employee, quote unquote, who is an entrepreneur. All right? Because both Laban and both Jacob and Joseph were actually entrusted with other people's assets, and they multiplied it. Joseph was entrusted with Potiphar's estate, and he was extremely successful. He was entrusted with the prison affairs. He was extremely successful. Then, by the time he was being entrusted with a whole kingdom, that at that time was a leading economy in the world, a global leader. I mean, by that time he had built his capacity to run an operation of that size. All right? So he never quite had his own stuff, but he multiplied what was entrusted to him. And of course, if you multiply what is entrusted to you by anyone, you benefit from the increase. You benefit from the increase. So Previously we have discussed about entrepreneurship being a spirit, isn't it? I think this was something that Christine mentioned to us at some point in Kingdom Boardroom. He says, entrepreneurship is a spirit. You don't have to be a business owner to multiply. You must have that mindset. And Maruti will tell you, when we're thinking about promoting people into equity ownership of a law firm, you're thinking, how have they been faithful with what we've given them? Christine, you heard Percy talk about, the favor that she's gotten to be given, that was in Kingdom Boardroom, to be given, is it okay for me to mention? To be given a profit share of ABSA. But it's not been because, they just like her. It's because they like the fact that she has been faithful with the assignment they gave her. And it's been a matter of about 5 years of faithfulness. We only hear about the profit share, but you don't hear about the stuff that she went through. Because if you have a conversation with her, she'll tell you that was what gave rise to the structure. All right? And I think this other one is also very illustrative of, or underpins this whole affair of multiplication. The parable of the talents. Matthew 25:14-30. For it will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them. And he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also, who had the 2 talents, came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here I have made 2 talents more. And his master said, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little, I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also who had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered, You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I mean, how more clearer can the Bible be? That we have time, we have trust, we have talents, we can sing, we have a peaceful country. So all of us have something that God... Last week, Christine was asking us, what do you have in your house? You remember the story in 2 Kings of the lady and the jar and the oil flowing? Elijah, it was Elijah, right? Asked her, what do you have in your house? So I think that's the question to you this morning. What do you have in your house? And are you being a faithful multiplier? You know, in this information age, we can't say that we don't have ability to multiply. There is so much material. So much material. I mean, with 200 bob, 300 bob, you can go to Java if there's no Wi-Fi in your house and gather so much. I mean, buy tea for yourself. Treat yourself to tea. And just go to the Wi-Fi. There are many public places where there's Wi-Fi. And you can download so much content that will transform your life. Today, you can get content from some of the industry leaders in the world. People who before we could not have access to them. Some of them who have not even not written books, but they have time to talk. You know? So there is so much. You can attend conferences virtually. You can attend so many classes virtually. I think our generation has no excuse not to multiply what has been entrusted to us. Christine mentioned our interest in oil and gas and energy. And, you know, the other day I was telling Kendi that I have come to conclude that I must be a student of life. Yeah? Not just a follower, but a student. And that's why even as you go into those, you know, into the internet to collect content, there's a lot of rubbish out there as well. Eh? But there's a lot of great stuff. So the issue is, how do you weed off the rubbish and go to the great stuff? And you know, there's some people who you know for sure they have content, so you can follow them. But even with them, you know what to take, what not to take. If today Jackie was to decide she's going to be an aviation expert, and she's committed to becoming an aviation expert, in the next 6 months, she will be. She can go and have a conversation with any aviation expert, and they will be neck to neck, having a very intelligent conversation. Okay? Ryan, if you don't mind me saying this, last week was telling me she has students in Bermuda who are taking her classes. I mean, look at the opportunities we have in our time. So we must upgrade our skills, all right? These are some of the things I am learning as well. I'm sharing with you some of the stuff that I've been learning in this season, all right? And I'm really humble that, you know, God has allowed me to share this with you, because it is stuff that must sink fast in me. Yeah? It must sink fast in me. But the place where the fruit of the Spirit is tested most, second to marriage, is in business. Is in business. Reason being, second to marriage, because your closest neighbor is your wife or your husband, isn't it? So I think marriage tests your fruit of the Spirit really, really well, and it helps you to grow. But the second other place, in my view, I may be wrong, but it's actually in the business context, in your workplace, in the business context. All right? Because we spend a lot of time there. And for the kingdom, there's something called eternal return on investment. You know about return on investment? ROI. But for the kingdom, it's eternal return on investment. And the simple way to look at eternal return on investment is to think about your heart towards people. You know, Jesus was asked, what are the two greatest commandments? He said, love your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. All right? So, of course, your fear of God, but also your attitude towards people. That really is at the core of eternal return on investment. Okay? And if you're to think about people, there is increasingly a great push towards relationship leadership and relationship business development, as opposed to transactional leadership, transactional business development. Each of our works will be tested. All right? Bible says each man That is 1 Corinthians 3, 13 to 15. 1 Corinthians 3, 13 to 15. Each man's work will become evident, for the day will show it, because it is to be revealed with fire. And the fire itself will test the quality of each man's work. If any man's work which he has built on remains, he will receive a reward. If any man's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved, yet so as through fire. So, our eternal return on investment, the Bible says, store up your riches in heaven, isn't it? And the way we store up our riches in heaven is really through our service to people. What at the end of the day we invested in other people, that is what is going to be eternal. Not so much the material stuff, the bottom line. All that is good, but at the end of the day, someone said the currency of heaven is people, isn't it? People. But the beauty about investing in people is that if you genuinely care about people, they return it. They'll actually care about your business. If you care about them, they will make your business their number one. All right? Yeah. If you care about your employees, they will care about your clients. If you care about your shareholders, they will care about investing in your company. So, it should not be the end that I want a return, but it just so happens that if you invest trust, trust will be given back to you. If you invest respect, respect will be given back to you. If you invest value to your clients, what will they give you back? Value. Value. The other day, I was privileged to have a conversation with the company secretary of one of the largest state corporations. And the whole 1 hour, he told us, initially we went asking him, our first comments to him was, we've come because we want to know what you want. And he said, when you started your conversation with that, you blew my mind. You blew my mind because every lawyer who has walked into this office always tells me what they want. They never ask me what I want. So for the next 1 hour, he just downloaded what he wanted. And that clarified so much our pitch that we have a very good feeling about, the prospects of us working together. Amen. All right? So, and I think that's how God set us up. He set us up to tell us, look, care about the needs of the other person. All right? Care about the needs of the other person. If you do that, the Bible says that it's greater to give than to receive, isn't it? But you know what? All of us want to receive, isn't it, at the end of the day? But giving is what starts the receiving process. Giving is what starts the receiving process. My wife was talking to me about Kobe Bryant. And she was telling me how hardworking he used to be. How he would really work until, practice and practice until everybody has left. And he's still practicing to perfect his stuff. So he gave his all to his craft. And it returned big time in terms of money and fame and prosperity. So giving starts the receiving process. Let's be obsessive about giving, because then we will receive. And even if we don't receive from that same person who we have given, we will receive from God. Will open windows that we never thought existed. The next point I want to make is that entrepreneurship is an attitude. All right? It's a way of looking at life. Christine shared with us how, of course, Corona is a concern for the whole world, but it's also an opportunity for solution providers. Today, if you were to come up and say, I have the cure, everybody will seek you. But you don't get overnight success. By the time you're getting the cure, there's a lot of this that has happened behind the scenes. A lot of work behind the scenes. All right? So people that we know are great didn't just happen overnight. We see what is out here, but really there was a lot of underground work that was happening. So entrepreneurs see opportunities, they seek opportunities, and they seize opportunities. They see what possibilities where others cannot see possibilities. They see opportunities in adversity. They see, for instance, what made David great? What made David great? An enemy, isn't it? It was Goliath that made David great. It was God, of course, but the opportunity for God's grace to be or anointing to be evident was in that fight. The fight will come. I assure you, time and chance happens to every man. The fight will come. Question is, how prepared are we for the fight? And we don't have to be in a very fancy laboratory or army, military base to prepare for the fight. Where you are, David was taking care of sheep, but he was preparing for a fight. Okay? So don't underestimate your current context. Don't look down, and I'm telling myself as well. Don't look down on your current context. Understand that God can use your current context to raise you, to use you for mighty things. Okay? Seeking. You know, a famous guy that you and I know said, ask and you'll. Ask and you'll. Seek and. Knock and. So finding is for doors opening. You know, Milkao has said, has declared here, there's an open door, there's an open heaven. But that open heaven, you have to knock for it to be opened. Reason being, it can't just be, if it's left open, every Tom, Dick, and Harry will walk in. We must knock. We must knock. First, we must acknowledge that there's an open heaven. Pasi has emphasized to us how this window or door is not going to be open forever. There's an 8-month window period or door period, but we must knock for it to be opened, and persistently. Maruti will tell you, for you to get in one client, one bank client, or one corporate client, one insurance company, you really have to knock doors. You really, really have to knock doors. Doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't matter how learned you are, you really have to knock doors. And many times, many doors will be shut at your face. Don't take it personally. Just keep knocking doors. Keep knocking doors. Keep knocking doors. So first you must equip yourself. You must have a vision. And you must keep knocking doors. And the reason why you must equip yourself is that once that door opens, there must be content that you have. You can't just show up and say, I'm here, I'm a member of Hekima. You must bring value. You must bring value. Otherwise, there will be no point for your relevance in the room. You must bring value. A friend of mine was saying that, look, ultimately, your gift will make room for you before great men, but your character is what will keep you there. Isn't it? Your character is what will keep you there. And many times, you know, when you are building your value, many times it's in obscurity, isn't it? Nobody sees, it's in private, you know, it's not glamorous. And at times, God is actually shielding you and protecting you. Remember that Christ was very strict and disciplined about his timing. Milikao has talked about timing. You know, he told his mom, my time has not arrived. When his mom was asking him to do the miracle, he made an exception for her. but he understood how timing is important. So don't be discouraged that, you're working very hard, you're toiling, and your moment to shine has not come. It will come one day. Amen. I assure you it will come. And perhaps it'll be an ordinary day. Like David was just taking food to his brothers. And then he didn't know that he had an appointment with his greatest moment of destiny. It may not be razzmatazz. It may just be an ordinary day. And that is the day that your door has opened. Yes. And so the last thing is you have to be ready to seize the opportunity when that door opens. When that door opens, you must seize the opportunity. You must seize the opportunity. That's what entrepreneurs do. They seize opportunities. They seize opportunities. They capitalize on opportunities. All right? So you must equip yourself. You must see opportunities. You must seek and knock. And when the door opens, seize the opportunity. Seize it. Israel is a country that is surrounded by very many enemies. Surrounded by terror, surrounded by all manner of attacks. They never rest. They never sleep. They are always on guard. Always. And yet you and I have a lot better environment to work with. They are even concerned about the water source, because there have been threats of their water sources being poisoned. So you can imagine the level, the depth of the threat and the risks they live under. And then, of course, they are a desert. They are a desert. But they are producing some of the leading cybersecurity solutions. They're producing some of the leading, food security solutions. They're producing some of the leading technology in different ways, water solution. So just the fact that there is a challenge for you as an entrepreneur, you should see it as that opportunity. South Korea, 30% of South Korea are Christians, but they are the most influential and powerful, both economically and politically. They control the systems. So when you and I think about success, we should not just be thinking the car I drive, the house I live in, the school and the kind of healthcare that our children have. All those are important. All right? All those are great. But we should elevate ourselves and think systems. Change the education system. Change warfare systems, Baraza, in the military. Think about how do you transform our warfare approach. Jackie, change the hospitality systems, the cake systems, the culinary art systems, beauty. Let's think about how do we change the ecosystem. I should just not be thinking about bottom line. I should be thinking, how do I change the systems of the legal sector? We must go beyond the elementary stuff that everybody cares about. If you ask any person on the streets, they'll tell you, if you ask them their dreams, they'll tell you a house, they'll tell you a car, they'll tell you, school fees for my kids. Those are good. But you talk about kingdom boardroom, we have to elevate ourselves. We have a very fancy name. When we mentioned kingdom boardroom at the business breakfast, everybody thought these guys. So I have 5 people who want me to invite them for the next kingdom boardroom. And I'm just thinking, will they get us? Are we ready? And then we have a very good logo. When I shared the logo with the organizers, they were like, wow, such kingdom logo. I don't know who did it. Was it Joe? That was quite something. We are so used to it. When we saw it, of course, all of us were impressed. But we've now become so used to it until I got that feedback. I was like, wow, we have a great name, and we have a great logo, and we have a great anointing. We really do. All right? So if we just apply a little more effort in terms of dreaming, execution, equipping ourselves, there's a lot that is in our favor already that we can work with. Okay? You know, a friend of mine who is, forgive me for being a bit ethnic. He's from the central region, a very close friend of mine. And we were having a conversation this week, and he was telling me, you know, my uncle and my friend and my relatives, they may have 300 million in their account, but if you ask them, how is the economy doing? Hii economy ni ngumu. Hata sijui tufanye nini. Karibu tunafunga, you know. And I don't think there are any Mununguniko people here. All of you are very positive-minded. But he was telling me his friends and his relatives, you can't ask them about how the economy is doing and they tell you something positive. This time they have 500 million in their account, and he knows because he's a lawyer, in their personal accounts. But I tell you, So we must move away from that Mununguniko spirit, all right, and be grateful. Be grateful for what we have. Imagine how far that gentleman can go if he was grateful. Yeah. You know, I mean, Cukes amaze me by how brilliant they are with business. They really are ahead of the pack. But how much further can we go? How much further can we go if we have the spirit of thankfulness? All right? Let's be thankful for what we have before we ask for anything else. All right? Let's be thankful. Let's develop a mindset of a positive mindset. Clarity of purpose. Clarity of purpose. When you talk to me about Bill Gates, you talk to me about Steve Jobs, you talk to me about Chris Kirubi, Said Hako, isn't it? You talk to me about who else? Chandaria. You mentioned, tissue papers, and that's what we know him most for, manufacturing. You talk about the Bidco guy, Vimalsha. It's Bidco, isn't it? That's what comes to your mind first. So, one of the key things about strategy is knowing what you are not supposed to do, what you're not supposed to be in. Not all good opportunities are your opportunities. Not all open doors are my open doors. Not all good employees are my employees. Not all good partners are my partners. Not all good clients are your clients. So there's a gentleman called Professor Michael Porter. He's one of the leading guys in strategy in the business world. And he says he's increasingly come to the conclusion that for the best, highest form of strategy, highest level of strategy is knowing where you are not supposed to be in. Where you're not supposed to be in. There is a guy called Mark Benioff, who was the CEO after Steve Jobs of Apple. And at that time, he then asked his employees, which industry are we in? And they said, in the computer industry. He said, if that is the case, then we're in big trouble. We're in very big trouble if we're in the computer industry, because IBM is better than us at the computer industry. HP, actually, I think Microsoft, they're better at us in the computer industry. So they kept asking each other over and over again, what industry are we in? What industry are we in? What industry are we in? And eventually they realized that they're in the industry of connecting people to their passion through beautiful platforms. Artistic, beautiful platforms. And technology is just a medium. But their existence is to connect people to their passion. And that's why they created iTunes. And they just... Today, Apple is the most wealthy company in the world since history. All right? They passed the $1 trillion mark about 2 years ago. So these guys, for them to rise to that highest level, they had to clarify what area are they in. And they said, look, that's what we do. And then the iPhone. And then, iPad. So beautiful connection, connecting people beautifully to their passions. The guys who have the Apple computers, they don't tell you the laptops. They don't tell you that they have a laptop. A MacBook. All right? There is this company that has gotten into problems lately. They make motorbikes in the US. They make the big motorbikes. Harley Davidson. They don't sell motorbikes. They sell a lifestyle. And they've been very successful until recently. Very, very successful. So it's very important for me to be clear. Not all good potential husbands are your husbands. Not all good potential wives are your wives. Not all good potential friends are your friends. Yes. We must have clarity about which space we are supposed to operate in. The nose cannot do what the hand does. And the hand cannot do what the nose does. The hand must be clear that my role is this, and the nose must be clear that my role is this. However much a nose wants to be a hand, it will be a terrible, terrible hand, and vice versa. The hand must not care about sense. It must just decide that, look, I trust the nose will do its part, and I must be good at my part. Last week, the speaker at the business breakfast was challenging us, saying, if you are in the education sector, stick to your lane. Be very good at it. Be very good at it. All right? So I agree with Christine about opportunities in the capital-intensive industries. Oil and gas, energy, infrastructure, technology, media. What else? Financial services. I agree with her. But I must qualify and just say that it's not really about the industry, it's about the mindset. Reason being, for you to be a partner in a public-private partnership with the government, imagine how much capital you require. The second Nyali Bridge. Lydia today wakes up and says, I want to bid for the second Nyali Bridge. It could crash her. But if she starts from safeshop.com and polishes her business, understanding of factors of production, understanding how to access capital, how to access good labor, how to access the market, how to do excellent operations, that begins to become a practice ground for her to pitch for public-private partnership for Nairobi Nakuru Highway or Nairobi Highway, or the 600-bed that Kenyatta University wants to put up, or the 140 megawatts that Kengen is doing, all carrier. Those are big, very capital-intensive projects. Very, very capital-intensive project. And it's very easy for her, by the way, to get an understanding of PPPs by simply associating herself slowly with the industry. All right? So I'll tell you how we got ourselves in the oil and gas space. I had no clue about oil and gas space 5-6 years ago. Zero. But then I saw that there's an opportunity because Kenya had discovered commercial oil. It made a commercial discovery. And then I said, look, I asked my colleagues, we have an intent to be good at this area. Does anyone know any relationship that we could leverage on? And then one of my colleagues said, by the way, I have a friend who used to be my boyfriend, but I know that he's a finance director at a company called... would you want to have a conversation with him? I said, Sawa. We are interested in anybody who can hold our hand and show us around. So she set up the meeting, and we showed up, and I realized her friend had called 2 other friends, and one of them I knew because we had served him in a different transaction. And right there, we had a rapport. We talked, it was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting. It went on for 2 hours. Them just sharing with us their passion, their interest, the knowledge that they have. And after a while, we said, look, let's continue this conversation. 2 weeks later, they called me and told me, can we collaborate? Can we do something together? 5 years later, and then they said, and then we agreed that, look, all of us are busy. We are doing, he's working for Afrin, I'm working for the farm. All of us are busy. Why don't we get one person who is dedicated? We will pay him from our salaries, or her. We will sacrifice something from our salaries and pay them to lead this vision. So then they introduced me to our partner, now called, who is really passionate and really good at these things. And she came and took over, and our first few attempts were a flop. We had bid for a tender, and we got it, but we had quoted above what was required. It was, for cost recovery audit for the upstream sector in the oil and gas sector, for Talo. And we lost it because we had our quote was a lot higher than the World Bank had. So we lost that, and it was painful to lose it because we were the top bidder, and all the 3 had overquoted. Then the next one was the energy roadmap for Kenya. Again, that one we bid with, actually, it was a consortium, ourselves and a few other guys. And we were so sure this one we were going to get it because of the strength of our consortium. The morning of the tender, we were called 10 minutes after the tender has closed. We were not able to deliver the documents on time. Reason being, they have a policy that tender documents are not sent by boda. They have to be sent by a car. All right? So because of that, there was traffic, we lost it. My partner came to me and, practically crying. Told me, look, let me go back, look for a job. I told her, there's another tender we have bid for. If we lose that one, then I'll understand. We will not give up ourselves, but I'll understand if you go back to work. Because what we are paying you is perhaps 40% or 50% of what you actually can get in the open market as an employee. So we agreed. She became a little patient. When the one that came out, actually we had gotten it. And we had bid very low. We were among the lowest bidders, but in terms of technical capacity, we were the best. And so we said, it's okay, because we are coming in to make a name for ourselves. So on that one, actually, we were doing the reconciliations the other day. We realized we had made a loss of about 9 million. All right? But we had learned a lot in the process. We had put our name on the mark. We had made a mark for ourselves. So because of that, then we were able to get 3 other key projects. One is the environment inspection manuals, which, a big project for don't have capacity in the upstream sector. So we're the ones helping them to. And we're partnering with an international firm. Okay? So again, with that international firm, initially, for the first projects, our ask in terms of our fees, what is entitled to us, we were getting the low end of the stick because we didn't have capacity. And they're saying, we're coming to do all this, what do you have? We said, we are the ones, pushing here. We, said, what do you have? We only have one expert. So they said, yeah, we will cost you for the expert. We will pay you for the time of your expert. The next project, we had built more capacity, and they could see, and we were able to push back on the fees. Maruti will tell you, the international firms don't joke. They'll not give you money because you are cute. You have to demonstrate your actual value, real-time value. Then the next one was the 15-year strategic plan for a very important project. And again, for that, we were able to push back on the fees and get a better, not what we desire, but what we deserve. All right? So, and that's again, a big project. All right? But we are learning. We are learning. It's not that we are there. As I said, we desire a certain amount, but we deserve a certain amount. But we know that increasingly we will keep getting better. So don't be fearful about these sectors that look complicated. Don't be fearful of them, but learn from where you are. If you think about Uber, or you think about Glovo, you think about Bolt, really, it's just the packaging. If you think about the old taxi guy, the guy with the red Datsun, you know, they're offering the same service, but the issue is just the packaging. The packaging. So you talked about Hako, you talked about, Manu Chandaria, the Chandaria Industries. We know them for one thing, but they have many other things that they do. We know Bidco for one thing, but there are many other things that they do. So for you to be able to even have access and social capital to say, here I am, I'm Jimmy, I'm the guy who does film production, you must first have built some level of credibility for them to say, look, yeah, we know you for something. We can entrust you with this other thing. All right? So don't look down on what you already have. Polish it. Polish it. I still think we have a long way to go as a law firm to understand the legal market. But that is what has helped us open doors for us to have a conversation with these experts in the energy sector, for them to say, yes, we know you for this other area. Now we hear that you have an interest in this other area. And there's some cross-synergy. There's some cross-synergy. All right? When they go into these projects, these are projects that we couldn't bid for as a law firm. Lawyers say we are learned, but we're not. I've realized we're not learned in everything. There are some things that we're not learned in. And we need experts who are in other fields to make us stronger. All right? So when we go into these projects, we do the legal work. We do the legal work, which we would not have done if we just said, we're looking for this job on our own. But we do the legal work as of right. As of right, because we are equity partners. All right? So my point is, multiple streams of income, yes, I agree 100%. But it takes a long time for you to just understand banking, credit. It takes a long time for you to understand which industry, matatu, transport industry. Yeah. It takes a lifetime. As you perfect that, it opens the door for the next streams of income. All right? And if you think about it, most people who are wealthy, Warren Buffett, we know him for stocks. He's really good at stocks. But beyond, the stock exchange, he has other investments. And many times, typically people will put the wealthy people will put their money in, when you have more money than you need for your business, you will put it in real estate, or you'll put it in a private equity fund and tell them this is the return I want. So the private equity fund, what it will do, it will go looking for people who are passionate in an area, who are competent in an area, and say, look, you are competent in technology, so you are good in phones, we're going to give you this money, and we're going to monitor it on behalf of those who have put money with us. All right? Because, trust me, there is no way anybody can be good in everything. Even just specs, for instance. Mr. and Mrs. Baraza there with their specs. For instance, just spectacles. People have become billionaires from spectacles. Billionaires. Manu Chandari has become a billionaire from tissue paper. Agnes Rice can make you a billionaire. It's how you package your mindset. Cindy, beauty can make you another Mark, a trillionaire. Depends with how you package. And so that's why it's important for us to take seriously the school of entrepreneurship, spiritualneurship, which Kingdom Boardroom has proposed to introduce. Because we will learn how to package what we have and how to prepare ourselves for that day of opportunity. All right? I don't have it all. I'm still learning. I tell you, every day I am learning. Every day. Every day. Everything that we have set up to do, some will fail. Some will succeed. We will have setbacks. But flow with God. If you flow with God, He will take you to your place of destiny. He will take you to your place of destiny. For sure, we can't own this building unless we have enterprises that are growing and are prosperous. Even God says, don't come to my kingdom without anything. When you come to see me, come with something. Kendi has been firm on her brothers and my brothers, her brother and my brothers, my siblings, and telling them, when you go to visit somebody, go with something. Go with something. Because when you go with something, you are setting the other person to also give you. They may not give you money, but they may give you wisdom. The other day, someone was telling me, if you want to be rich, go and buy somebody who has made it in that area. Buy them lunch, or buy them tea. Don't let them be the ones to pay for the tea. You pay for the tea. But after that, someone who has been successful in that industry, you will get so much from that conversation. All right? So it's not just about money. There is a lot more to it. I mean, even if it is about leadership of charitable organizations team, you should associate yourself with people who have done extremely well in building charitable organizations. They're called impact organizations, social impact. Yeah? So if you want to be a great impact entrepreneur, then associate yourself or study people who have been great at impact. You know, the last time we had a conversation, you're talking to me about social impact, economic impact through the vehicle that you have. So, I mean, Moses, the guys that you work for are very good. We know them for the quality of their chicken, isn't it? Java, we know them for their tea, their coffee, isn't it? Mainly. But they have perfected that over time. So if we dedicate ourselves to perfecting what we have and understanding the ecosystem that nurtures enterprise, we have to understand how it works. The other day, people are complaining about, Wazungus who have come to the country, and then they're saying that they are Kenyan techie companies, isn't it? So I had a go with a friend of mine who is a Mzungu in that circle. And I was telling him, you guys are just frauds. You're coming to use our Kenyan name to ask for money. And he told me, I can't believe you're saying that. Because, you see, the truth is, there is a language that money understands, which these guys have. And that language is not complicated. It's that you return emails, you return calls, you make excellent presentations, you prepare for those presentations. When you go in, you have figured out a million questions that will come from that presentation. You prepare. When you show up with solutions, not complaints or excuses. All right? So you're telling me, well, if you guys continue with that mindset, a lot of Mzungus will continue coming here, making tech companies, getting a lot of money, taking it to their country. But you must ask yourself, what is it about these guys that attracts money to them? He's saying, most of my friends, he was telling me his friends, are agnostic about the rest of your skin. They're agnostic about your skin color. They don't care about your skin color. They care about how safe is my money, what return am I getting. Do you understand that industry? And if me as a person who is not in that industry, fashion industry for instance, understand it better than you, I'm asking you questions that are more pointed than you thought through, then I'm worried about my money. The other day, Vusi, I think Christine played a clip of Vusi Thembakai of South Africa. And you're saying he was in Dragon Den for South Africa. And out of about 10 entrepreneurs who were invested in, only 2 were black South Africans. Yet the panel had almost 70% South African, indigenous Africans, including himself. So you're saying money is agnostic. It doesn't care about the color of your skin, but it cares about risk. That's the kind of language that entrepreneurs, investors understand. Okay? So I hope I've shared with you some of the things that are going through my mind. And I hope that, hopefully I've helped you in a way, or at least I have challenged your curiosity. And let's keep growing each other. Let's keep growing each other. If there's a way that you think I could structure my business that could go a little further than where it is, share with me. If there's some material that, the other day we were shocked at how Christians don't attend business forums. And yet, we say God has not blessed me. Let me put it out here, just, here in this, for the guys in this church. If there's a business forum or a professional forum that could add value to you, I think I'm friends with a number of the guys in this room who are a little senior than I am, to say that let the problem not be that I didn't have money to attend it. All right? I don't want to give you money because you're late for your rent. I don't want to give you money for that. I don't want to give you money because, you had this and this problem. I will be more motivated to give you money to attend a forum that is going to increase what you carry. That's the best I can do. And even if we don't have it, I don't have it myself, I will rally a few friends who are here, who I know are minded like that. Let's say we tried to look for the money and we failed. But it's not that there was an opportunity for you to grow yourself and you didn't take it because there was no money. We may not be able to afford a diploma, a degree, a master's. We could, but we may not be able to. But a short course, a 1-day seminar, 2-day seminar, surely we can try. Even if we don't have enough for 2 people, we'll perhaps afford 1 person and tell that 1 person, when you come, train all of us. All right? There's an organization called Synapis, which I've mentioned to Kingdom Boardroom that I'd like us to talk to them to be part of the spiritualship. This thing is good for our families. It's good for the kingdom. It's good for the church. All right? If we get it right, magic happens. Miracles happen. Miracles happen. God bless you.